Hey guys, sometimes when it comes to productivity, less really is more, and that includes productivity efforts that you're bringing to expand your business, to scale, to achieve more profit, more revenue. And so let me just back up a second and talk to you about learning to ride a bike. If you're like most people who are millennials or older generations, you probably learned how to ride a bike using some sort of training wheels. But that's really not the most effective way to learn to ride a bike, because the most difficult thing, the obstacle that you have to overcome to be able to ride a bike, is learning the balance, getting your brain to have that muscle memory for how to move and how to balance on a bike. And so Ryan McFarland, I think, is the one who invented a bike that I actually used for one of my sons. When I saw it, and I realized instantly, as soon as I saw it, I realized that's a way better way for a kid who doesn't know how to ride a bike to learn. So I never did the thing chasing him around, pushing him from behind, trying to catch him if he falls, because his feet are safely next to the floor on this bike called the Strider that has no pedals. So if you learn how to coast and push along with your feet, and your feet are close to the ground and there's no pedals in the way, you just naturally go for a few seconds and start to get the feel of what it's like to balance in the middle. And you learn much more quickly how to balance, and therefore then when you put the pedals on or move to a bike that has pedals, it's a really easy process. And so the moral of the story is sometimes less is more. Sometimes we have to overcome the entrepreneurial instinct to always be thinking that adding something is the solution. Why did it take so many years, so many generations of people riding bikes to realize that the solution was to take something away? It's because the human bias is to solve problems by adding instead of removing. So whatever obstacle you're facing, if you're experiencing a little bit of stress with too many things not working well or not moving fast enough towards your goals, or if you've identified the constraint, if you use theory of constraints, like I work with many of my clients on this concept of identifying where the bottleneck is so that we can focus more of your time and attention on that. Often we think, okay, well, how can we add more? What do we need to add? Who do we need to hire? What additional expense can we bring in to be able to overcome that? But sometimes the answer is remove something. And there's countless examples. One of my mentors talks about having helped one of his clients where he wanted to be able to save enough. Basically, he wanted to be able to work 10 hours less. And he was talking about trying to hire an assistant to help him to achieve that. And it was, there's the added complexity of finding someone, training them, etc. And then there's always the possibility that they don't do the job well or they quit. And so my friend was asking him, like, okay, what's the end goal here? Okay, it's 10 hours less. And they got taught looking at all the variables. And he realized that he was driving 45 minutes to get to this office that was in a nice area in the city where he had originally formed his business, but he really didn't need to work there anymore. He could work much closer to home if he wanted to. And so they realized that by removing that commute, paying just a tiny bit more for an office that was just 10 minutes from his house, he could get those 10 hours back without adding an assistant. So instead of adding an assistant, he was able to remove a commute and achieve the same end goal with less risk, less money, and a more instant result. So my challenge for you this week is just to think, whatever goals or problems you're facing, whatever it is that you're trying to get closer to in your business or in your life, what can you remove? Just spend 5 minutes. That's your challenge this week. Just pondering that question. Pull out a blank piece of paper or open a notepad and just start typing crazy ideas. Just brainstorm. Let yourself be just free and just think, if I didn't have to, just ask yourself, if I was going to let anything be on the chopping block, what could I remove? And even if you're probably not going to do it, just ask yourself that question. What if I remove this? What if I remove this? And let your creativity and your imagination look at that from different angles. As a result of looking at it from different angles and using this filter, you might spot something that allows you to have greater efficiency, to move closer to what you want, and to do so without adding complexity. Talk to you next week.